And all of this is leading up to the coming mark of the beast. All of this is leading up to Revelation 13. And there's multiple aspects to that. And we're going to kind of talk a little bit about this mark of the beast. We're going to get in depth with the two sides of it. Because like I was saying, everybody likes to focus on the buy and sell, but there is another aspect to it. So we're going to talk a little bit about the mark of the beast and what's going on with this. And I believe we're seeing development of that with Micron Biomedical's vitamin patch. This thing is interesting. Check this out. Oh boy. So this is a company called Micron Biomedical. They're in Atlanta, and they just developed this vitamin patch. They successfully concluded their first ever trial that can be used on children as young as 9 months old. 9 months old. And guess who funded this trial for Micron Biomedical? If you guessed Ronald McDonald, you'd be wrong. I'm sorry. It was actually the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They did fund this trial. Now, if you look at this thing, I'll throw it back up again. If you look at this thing, you see like the little patch thing, and it's got all those little, I don't want to say that specific word. It's got little pokies on it. Kind of looks a little bit like a palisade, if you catch my drift. Now, like I said, there's two aspects to this mark of the beast. If we take a look at Revelation 13:16, it says, he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead, and that no one may buy or sell except the one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Now, everybody focuses on that buy and sell part. But when you pledge allegiance to the beast, it specifically talks about how you can't be saved. There's no salvation available for you anymore. And so when you look at this thing, it looks similar to a quantum dot tattoo, which I believe is either going to be the mark. It's not there yet. There's no mark of the beast yet. There's not even a beast yet here. Well, behind the scenes, the Antichrist is there, but you know what I mean. But it looks like a quantum dot tattoo. And when you look at, this is a quantum dot tattoo. It's got the same little pokies on the strip, and you just put it on like a Band-Aid, and you've got a way to read the code underneath. You got a way to read the data underneath. Now, with this quantum dot tattoo, you can load it up with a bunch of data, kind of like your e-wallet, your digital ID, your CBDC, Elon Musk's X app. You might be able to load these things that, well, you can. They're talking about how they continue to get more and more data on these things, which you got to remember, whatever we see now, they've got at least 10 years advanced in technology. So guaranteed they've already got this thing ready. But if you look at this thing close up, this is the quantum dot tattoo. Dots are loaded onto a micro pokey patch, a square with an array of tiny pokies that deliver nanoparticles into the skin in a pattern like a square, circle, etc., and then dissolve after delivery. So when you look at the quantum dot, and then you look at this thing, it looks pretty similar. Now, quantum dot will match the buy and sell part with all the data. What would this possibly have to do with the mark? Like I was saying, everybody knows the verse about buy and sell, but I want to focus on the aspect of why you will not be able to gain salvation once you take this thing. When you take the mark, it's not only going to be your ID, wallet, access key, all this stuff to buy and sell, but that thing is going to alter, change, remove DNA and your bloodline that won't make you human anymore. That's the important part of this thing. That's the difference, because I'm sorry, we can get to the point of you can't buy or sell without something, without it being the mark. We can get to that point. But it's this part where it doesn't make you human anymore that things start to get different. All it takes is the alteration of 1%. That's it. You alter the DNA, you alter the human bloodline by 1%, and you will not be human anymore. That's all it takes. It's nothing drastic. It's nothing ridiculous. It just takes the smallest little thing. This is why Christ came as both 100% God and 100% man. That human bloodline is what covers us for salvation. So if you remove yourself from that, it doesn't work. That's why he had to come as 100% both. And if we get removed, it doesn't cover us. This is why anyone who receives that mark cannot be saved. So you're pledging your allegiance to the beast. You take that mark, it's going to alter you. It's going to take that away. Now, we're told in Matthew 24, as in the days of Noah. We continue to hear that when it comes to these end times. A lot of people reference it. They quote it. Well, it's going to be like the days of Noah. Well, there's a part of that again, we're getting back to the days of Noah when it comes to the mark. Because remember, the big reason why God flooded the earth, there was rampant sin going on everywhere, but he flooded the earth because the Nephilim had begun to corrupt the human bloodline by breeding with the humans. God understood that he had to wipe out the unclean. He had to purify the human bloodline by keeping Noah and his family, who were still pure, keep them going. But he had to wipe the slate clean. That's why he flooded the earth, is because the Nephilim were here already perverting and destroying the human bloodline. So if he sent Christ down, it wouldn't work for a lot of people. Remember, he came and died. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. And so it's very important that we understand that. So when you're talking about the days of Noah, that's also referencing going back to corrupting the bloodline. Satan's trying to do the same thing. He's trying to do the same thing. He's just trying to get, just like we talk about all the time with all the technology and all the philosophy and everything of these AI guys and the WEF guys and stuff, how it's all back to Babel. We're getting back to Babel. We're getting back to the Babel. Well, the days of Noah, Satan's trying to get back there by corrupting it. And we know that Mark is going to accomplish it. That's why this thing is so important. That's why you can't be saved if you accept that. It's going to pull you out of the ability to do it. God had to basically reset. You want to talk about a great reset? That was the original great reset, honestly. He had to reset the human bloodline, and Noah and his family were still pure. The mark will do the same, just as in the days of Noah. So when you see the quantum dot tattoo, which I'll throw this back up again, when you see that thing, it looks similar or basically identical to that vitamin patch. So you're looking at, even at the just iron meets clay, really. You're talking about, where is it? Right there. You're talking about loading digital information on that, and you're talking about altering things on that. So, now, why I believe the mark will be the quantum dot tattoo is because the quantum dot goes both on and in the skin, which if you want to look at Revelation 13:16, it actually tells us that. Now, there's often the question of, will the mark go on the skin? Will it be like a branding, or will it go in the skin? Well, the answer is yes. And so what we do is we'll take a look at this again. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads. Well, the key right there is mark. The key right there is mark. And what we want to do is we want to actually take this back to the Greek and take a look at what the mark stands in Greek. So if we look at this, this would be, a stamp or impress. So here we go. I got to try and do this. Charagma. Which is a stamp or impress, which is a brand or mark, was originally any impress on a coin or seal. Now, this is where it gets crazy. Later became the identification marker. Well, if we take a look again at Revelation 13 here, no one have the mark, the name of the beast or the number of his name. That sure sounds like an identification marker, like with the owner's unique brand mark, the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So we're looking at that. And that says stamp impress or stamp mark. And then it also goes from the same as karax, which is a scratch or etching. etching. Wow. Sounded like a broken record. Etching. So there's your on. There's your on. You got your stamp. You got your impress. You got your scratch. But let's take a look at Sharax. I can't pronounce that. I'm sorry. Which is a pointed stake, a rampart, a pale or stake, or a palisade. See those little pointies? That's a palisade. You see the pointies? That's a palisade. More pointies. That's a palisade. So you've got the mark which these palisades lay on, and then you've got the palisades themselves. So this also comes from the word sharasso, to sharpen to a point, a stake, palisade. So when you look at the Greek for mark, you get both. You literally get both an impress or a scratch of a brand mark, an identification number of the owner, and you get a pointed stake, a palisade. It's both. It goes in and on. And when you look at both this and this, it goes in and on. That's why I believe that the quantum dot tattoo will be the mark of the beast. So when it comes to answering the question of, well, will it go on the skin or will it go in the skin? The answer is yes. It'll be both. And Revelation 13 actually tells us that, because when you look at mark, it tells us both. It matches in more ways than not. And so when you do it, both Sharagma and Sharax or Karax they reference scratching, etching, engraving, and also a pointed stake or palisade. So when you look at things like that Micron vitamin patch, I almost said something that I shouldn't have. When you look at that, and then if you were to team that up with the quantum dot tattoo, you would have a mark and something that goes in that would fit both your digital information, and alter, it could, got to be careful, could alter your bloodline. The quantum dot does not only fit both Greek versions of the word mark, but it also will store your digital data for buy and sell. It can alter your DNA and bloodline, removing the ability for salvation. So this Micron vitamin patch is interesting, especially since who funded the thing. Now, of course, they're working on a bunch of different ones. There's other ones out there, but that one looks very, very similar to the quantum dot, and it's just like a Band-Aid. It's going to be something so easy, so simple, where it's not going to be like a big deal. The mark could literally be something that you order online and it gets sent to you, and then say you go to the image of the beast and you activate it, and that would be your pledge of allegiance right there. It could be something. I'm not saying that's what it is, but I'm just saying that it could be that simple. You could literally pull up Elon's X app, order one, and then activate the thing at the image of the beast. It could be that simple. But it's that activation, that pledging, that's what will get you.